Okay, so now I guess we can be heard. Um, okay, so we had a presentation by Kyle Bergel and the chief a few weeks ago on the chance to obtain a ladder truck from the city of Colchester. It's a used truck. And the path we go out now, if we choose to, would be to discuss it tonight. I see Jason Tags here, can answer questions on when and view the truck. If there's any questions on the mechanics of the truck. And then we could decide whether we want to send it to a Board of Finance meeting for them to vet it out. Decide if they could, if they wanted to have an appropriation to purchase it, send it back to us to go to a town meeting. And because it's over $20,000, it would have to go to a town meeting. So I would entertain discussion on the ladder truck.
So I think, I had a couple of questions, and I know when we had come out, for a Saturday, to tour, there was just a little bit of concern, and I'm wondering if there's any additional information about the condition of the used truck. Some of the things that were, documented and printed that made the case for them getting a new one. I want to feel a little bit better about the condition of the truck and how long we expect it to be on the road. I don't know if we got any additional clarification. I know we talked to Joe about that a little bit that day.
Jason, you're to take these.
Excellent.
Yeah, Chase, if you hit that button one time, give it a second, it should be on.
How's that? You hear me?
Yeah.
Is it on?
And then just put it, yeah, there you go. Get it up.
All right, how's that?
Perfect.
Good? So, yeah, so I'm the chief engineer for the fire department here in town. I'm a master certified truck technician through ASE. I'm also an EVT master certified technician, which is emergency vehicles. Also an ambulance technician, also an aircraft firefighting technician. So I went and looked at the truck on my own time a couple weeks ago. Did a full inspection. I did a full DOT inspection, which is what we would do to verify that the truck is safe for operation. The truck is safe for operation. I read the write-up that the city of Colchester did to try to push the town to purchase a new truck. I know they wrote up some frame issues. There are not frame issues. I do have pictures to show if needed. Frame's in good shape, suspension's in good shape. The only issues that I found with the truck that are not out of service criteria, they're things that we would probably want to fix in the future, but they did not take the truck out of service. There's a small hydraulic leak at the rear of the truck on one of the control blocks. All that is taking the control block out, taking it apart, putting in new O-rings, and putting it back in. And the steering box has a small leak at the pitman arm. Again, it's not dripping on the ground. It's wet. That's called a class 2 leak. Does not take the truck out of service. And then there's some gauges that we'd want to change on the pump panel itself, only because there's a fluid in them that keeps them from bouncing. The fluid's low. You change the gauge, it fixes it. Other than that, I didn't see any issues. I have seen the reports for the last ladder inspection that it passed. That's done by a third party. I don't do those through my job either. We have a completely different company that comes in and does those. So the ladder inspection report was good. I know it passed its last pump test, which would be the pump itself. So yes, the truck is in good shape. It would be able to be driven from Colchester to here and put right in service. The repairs that are needed on it are not, instant needed right this second. We'd want them fixed just so they're fixed, but they're not needed.
So do we do those repairs in-house? You would do those repairs, or we'd have to send it out?
Those would get sent out only because it'd be a lot easier.
Do you have a dollar value on what
Yeah,
those
any-
repairs
You're
would?
if you bundled everything together, you're probably looking at about $5,000. That's gauges, steering box, and the hydraulic box.
And that would be, the fire company would be paying for the repairs, I assume. And out of your budget.
Operationalize, okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't, yeah, that would be come out of the budget, yep.
In your opinion, and I would never hold you to this, not knowing what could happen, how many good years do you think in the use that it would get with North Stonington that we would get out of that truck?
We're looking to get 5 years. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't.
Wouldn't,
Like I said, there's nothing on it that jumped out at me as, oh, that's gonna fail soon. I see trucks like that a lot. What I do is I work for, MES Shipments and I work on fire trucks every day. That's what I do. So, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't get 5 years out of it.
do you foresee us getting more than 5 years out of it?
It's a possibility.
Anything else?
Not right this minute.
Okay. Brett, you have anything,
but just about fire company and responses for mutual aid. I don't know who will answer that, but
thank you, Jason.
thank you.
Jason, if this goes through, when we get to voting, if it goes through the process of Board of Finance and town meeting, we probably need to have another presentation to the Board of Finance and your attendance, if you could, to answer questions like Nicole just asked. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Jason, are you with us on a volunteer basis? We are very lucky to have you.
Hey, Chief, I know you went over the amount of calls last meeting, I think it was. How many structure fire calls have we had in town last year?
Last
You have
year,
a-
I think we had, well, you don't use structure fires directly. You have to use chimney fire, structure fires, any type of, roof access issues. So you're probably talking about 10 to 15. Not classified as a structure fire. Probably had last year. I don't even know if we had one structure fire last year.
So 10 to 15 roof
Roof,
issues.
where we had to
you'd
go
say?
on roofs.
Okay. And then do you have a count of how many times a ladder truck for mutual aid's been dispatched?
I would have to pull the report, but they're automatically requested for schools, the churches in town. Mystic Pizza, since it's a 3-story building, we can't reach the 3rd floor. If there's a fire in the residence occupancies up there, we can't even reach the roof. The hotels, all those buildings in town are automatically requested. Because typically your ladder truck needs to be first due. Front of the building needs front access so we can have the best reach to get to your roofs and your windows and rescue people. Current situation we're in now is it's 3rd, 4th due because we don't have them. So our fire engines will be in place prior to the ladder truck getting there. So we're blocking their access to be able to rescue accessible rescues from windows.
So can you get us that count at some point?
Yeah.
How many
it's a
times?
simple run report.
All right. And then if you, with that, if you can get out, how many times has the ladder truck, when it's been dispatched, how many times has the ladder actually been deployed on scene?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not the point of how many times it's been used, it's that you need the resource, that's why it's being called. So we go to, 50, 60 fire alarms a year. It just takes one of those times to be a fire, or the school's on fire and you have kids hanging out the 2nd floor windows. It's that one time you need a ladder truck to get those kids out. It's not how many times you've used it. It's that one time. That's why you need fire apparatus. Your fire apparatus is here in the event you need it, not because you needed it. You need fire trucks. If you don't have fire trucks, you don't have homeowners insurance. We all know that. So those fire trucks are in place to protect people. We don't go, well, you know what? We don't need water in fire trucks either because we haven't had a fire in about 6 months. So it's just empty tanks to run faster that way. That's not how the fire service works. We need a ladder to safely do our job and rescue the people of our town and future expansion of the town. We're talking about some significant potential expansions to the town that I've seen over the last few months. And we talk about growing a grand list in North Stonington. A lot of projects get cut back because there isn't a ladder truck. A lot of projects insurance require a ladder truck to be in district, not a mutual aid ladder truck. I think it was the economic, committee, what was it? No, I can't think of the committee it was. The actually, one of the recommendations was at one point that we need a ladder truck in town to support the infrastructure and the growth of the town's grandness. So all this hinges together.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had on that one. Did you have any?
Talk to us again about how we're gonna maneuver the vehicles inside the main building again, and how confident you are that you're gonna be able to get an ambulance out if you double stack them. Just, can we go over that
Yeah,
one more
So we
time?
looked at multiple options. So you could put in the furthest bay ambulance stacked with each other with the small truck behind it, brush truck. That would allow them, so the first one goes out and the second one's sitting right behind it. So again, only one leaves at a time. So they could pull out. Or we have I measured it out in the bay with tape and everything else. We could physically put the engine between an ambulance and a brush truck in the bay between it and still have about foot on either side to get around it. It's not the best idea. The best idea would be put it in the garage out back, in that one bay, heat it and insulate it. That would be the best situation for us to keep that truck in. But we can squeeze it in the building we're currently in, keep it in the building.
So if this all goes through and it's approved at a town meeting, you're confident at this point that we can fit everything inside the main building?
Yes. Because like during the weather right now, currently, during the winter or inclement weather, like snowstorms coming, everything that's in that garage has to come inside because we're not guaranteed it'll be warm. It needs not to be warm. It may not start. It may not get. It may snow it in. Whatever it is. So everything comes into the heated garage because our boat deflates because it's an airboat. The ATV doesn't handle cold weather all that well, so we keep it plugged in out there all the time. So we bring it inside in the old pickup truck that's usually on a block here all winter long. We bring that inside so it can stay inside. It's all parked in between all the vehicles. It gets tight, but it works.
Yeah. And understanding that with inflation and everything that's happened in the last couple of years, the last quote that you got to insulate and heat that back garage was around roughly what? Do you remember?
Wonder. Thought the number $50,000 comes to mind, but I can't. I would have to look back.
Okay.
But I think it was around something like that. But that, I think that was the whole entire garage. We can look at just doing a single bay because currently the one bay already has a firewall which is insulated. So you'd only have to do basically 2 walls and a little bit around the door and then a ceiling. And then run 1 heater in instead of having 3 heaters in there. So there's options to reduce the cost. So you could do the one bay where that truck would be heated and insulated because there is already a firewall there. Then the other side could lift it up cold. So there is options to reduce the cost of insulating heating that garage.
Okay.
But again, I would have to get today's numbers.
Yeah.
'cause
Oh,
that was-
absolutely.
That was done like right after that project got done. So
Yeah.
those were the numbers from back then.
But just to clarify, you are not asking
I'm
for
not
that
asking for
to
that right
move
now.
forward right now?
Nope.
Okay.
But we would be getting rid of one of the trucks in the next few years, correct?
5 years. When you replace engine 2 with a new Quint, both of those, the current one that if we get approved to buy the $50,000 used Quint, we would then at the end of the 5 years sell both. The engine and the Quint would go, and the purchase of the new Quint would take place of that.
And-
You would confidently get your money back. All day long, you'll probably get $40,000 to $50,000 for the engine, maybe even more.
Just for an idea, because of what I do.
Jason, I need you on the mic. Sorry.
Just since the chief's talking about like getting your money back and stuff like that, because of what I do for work, I monitor used truck sales also for fire trucks. There's a couple of different companies that broker fire trucks for sale and all that stuff. The truck that we're looking at from Colchester for 50,000 right now is about if Redline Fire Apparatus is the one that comes to mind because they do the most. If they were to purchase it from Colchester, which is what they do, they'll purchase from fire departments and then turn around and sell them. They basically do no work to them except wash them. That's about $125,000 truck today. if Redline was selling it. Obviously, they want to make a profit, and we understand that, but so that kind of gives you an idea, how much out on the open market the truck is worth. And like the chief said, we would easily get our money back. We paid 50 now, go 5 years. We're obviously not going to drive it into the ditch. So you would get that money back, possibly more, who knows when that time comes. But, you know, we're not buying the truck at the peak of its worth and then kind of crossing our fingers. So.
And then the sale of both those trucks would go towards the new truck that we would need to purchase.
The town owns the vehicles, so no matter what, the town would sell them, the town would take the money, go back in the general fund, or whatever they decide to do with it. So once it's sold, it's basically between the engine and the ladder truck gets sold, all that money would go back to the town. So you and the Board of Finance decide where it goes. Typically, it goes back to the general.
You'd be looking to purchase a new truck at that point.
We are currently supposed to be replacing the engine. It's 28 years old. It's due for replacement. We already refurbed it 10 years ago. It's been refurbed once already. It's coming to the end of its life. So instead of us as the presentation, instead of increasing our fleet from what we have now and adding another vehicle, we replace the engine with a Quint, which is an engine and a ladder at once, and we sell both of them and they're gone. So then we come back to everything has its own spot, no longer sharing spaces anymore. We're back to where we are. So that's the plan, is to do that. So we're actually going to, trade an engine, sell that engine and that Quint, and it's going to be one vehicle replacing both of them.
So Bob, I have a question for you. Do we technically have to get fire company approval to sell a truck
No.
if we own it?
We don't have to have approval. No, it's we own the trucks. I would think we'd want to have a mutual decision. I
Right.
wouldn't want to sell a truck out from underneath them.
Because I know I mentioned at the last one, I'm not in favor of keeping both trucks for 5 years. I understand there's a ramp up to the ladder truck.
But I think, didn't we say we would
Can I
keep
ask,
it?
Brett, what's your experience in the fire service
I don't have it.
and your opinion on selling apparatus and taking our knees up from under us is from where?
It's not taking your knees out. It's providing you with the ladder truck that you're asking for. And then in a few years, getting rid of the engine 2, which you said is the duplicate, really.
No,
It's,
I didn't say
you
that.
said it's the same thing, but with a ladder on top. And that's
It's
why
an
you'd be
engine
going.
with a
for it.
ladder on top.
So I have to say that I'm uncomfortable saying we're gonna add another truck to the fleet for 5 years when this one is supposed to be replacing that and then a ladder eventually.
Are
By
you going
you
to stick to a
saying-
capital long-range plan in this town?
What's that?
Are you going to stick to a capital long-range plan?
We are, and we're working on it. But I have to tell you, I'm more concerned about spending extra money on the fire company when I hear from one of your, is it your deputy chief that comes up here and says that we are 1 minute away from 40 firefighters walking out the door of the fire company. So how can we, as in good faith to our community, also look at adding expenses when from the deputy chief, correct me if he's not, the fire company is unstable,
Who's unstable?
the fire company.
And your constant attacks on the fire company are stable, Brett?
Guys,
There wasn't one attack on the fire company. I've been supportive of the fire company. I was on the firehouse building committee when it
Yeah.
first started.
Then you disappeared, went to the school committee. Let's not get.
No,
into
I
that.
was on both and I
You
realized I
never
couldn't
came
do
to
both.
it. Okay.
All right, that's it.
let's get back,
But I can tell you, everyone is looking at regionalizing fire. There's studies from the state from last
55
year.
square miles is regionalized.
Okay.
If
I'm-
the town's committee, if you looked at the town's committee, that was served when under under Mike Ergo, the committee was served. Over a year study was done. The town of North Stonington should have had 3 firehouses in the size of the town. And they said some level of paid staffing and an aerial device, but we threw that study away. We haven't looked at that, have we?
They've actually never reported.
So I think, Chief, they never reported out.
So that study,
I
because we
was-
were
I
waiting.
was at the meeting, we did, it was actually presented. And there was some tweaking on some words that needed to be done to it, but it was submitted. I will have to go find it and contact the committee chair at the time of that meeting, to get you the official.
Actually, the final, you never had the final meeting to submit it to the Board of Selectmen.
But
So
my point is, if volunteerism is down across the area and you guys are struggling to get new members, what is the plan to get new members so that we aren't buying equipment and we don't have members to?
So the plan of
provide?
getting to your point of the limited volunteers, again, everybody in the room is welcome to get an application to join volunteer fire company in town. The Quint is 2 vehicles as one. Instead of having the staff an engine and a ladder, you put an engine and a ladder in one vehicle. So during the day, you're maximizing your minimum staff so they can do 2 with 1. So instead of having 2 or 3 firemen throwing a ladder to a window and while there's a fire, you can have a guy on a turntable, one guy running a ladder to rescue someone out of a window while the other individuals are pulling a hose line to fight the fire. It's maximizing your staff. So you're looking at across the board, it's not even volunteer departments, even career departments right now are having a tough time of hiring people. Fire service and EMS service across the board globally is having a shortage of people. It's not just a North Stonington problem.
No, I mean, it definitely is. The president, yesterday said that, the only thing that protects firefighters is more firefighters.
Mhm.
Good equipment helps,
Yeah.
but more firefighters. So you have to understand when I hear statements like that and we're looking to invest considerable amount, I'm not saying the 50,000. I mean, that's considerable for some, but for equipment that
Right.
isn't. But over the next few years in our capital plan, we're going to, I'd like to feel confident that what was said isn't the truth, or isn't the fact that any minute there could be a call, and it's mutual aid that's responding and not North Stonington Fire Company.
No, we're not at that level. And I've been warning you for years. We started the process of putting per diems on during the day. We are hurting during the day. That's no secret. That's why we put paid staff on. So again, everybody leaves town, we're aging out. We need the younger generation to become members of the fire company. We need it. The town can't afford to replace the volunteer fire company with a full-time career department. Because that bill would be about $3 to $4 million a year for just salaries. Never mind equipment, you still would have the exact same budget higher because you'd be paying more, training and stuff like that, equipment to buy. But currently, the volunteer fire service is at least saving $3 million a year. So that is something that we're trying to work at. I've had many meetings with Bob. We've tried everything, Facebook posts, videos when Mike was in to get new members. We've been asking for the last 3 months, social media campaign to get members. We've gotten 0 applications, 0. So if anybody has a better idea how to get in, we bought a banner. We're putting a huge banner up probably tomorrow on the front lawn of the firehouse. Volunteer firefighters needed. We need the people. You're looking at our generation of firefighters that are starting to age out, and they're going out faster than the younger guys are coming in. So I'm a 3rd generation firefighter looking through, in North Stonington, looking down through it. You're gonna be waiting another 3 or 4 years for the 4th generation to come in, but typically a lot of us, not everybody in the room, are 2nd, 3rd generation firefighters in North Stonington because it's passed down through the family. Trying to get new people. We're lucky we got Jason. Jason came in. He wasn't affiliated with the fire company anyway, and a couple other guys in this room. So over the years, we've been able to grab the new members, but we're waiting for them to have kids to bring them into the firehouse. That's just really how it's been going. You're born into it. It's really tough in our Stonington when the fire company membership makes up less than 1% of the town in our Stonington. So.
I'd
Good.
like you to think about opening up your larger space for meeting space for community groups to come in and hold. I know it was written in the lease when that lease was done, but that's one way to get community to utilize that little part of the building, but also become accustomed with the fire department. I think that public side of it goes a long way.
Right, we've done a lot to be in the public. We hosted the Santa Run for over 10 years now until recently. It's more of a town event. We've done a lot to get out in the community. We do fire prevention. We support the school with, the bonfires. We do a lot of things. We do, Fall Fest when we're asked to attend. We do all these things to help. Bringing someone into your home, I think, is inappropriate. Who's going to come and clean the bathrooms, fix the building, maintain the building, lock the building up after every town event? And who's gonna, because right now, currently, we pay for the cleaning of the building. The town doesn't. We take out of our personal money to clean the building. So that'll be another budget thing that you're gonna take on and have to hire a janitor. or
But the town
something.
paid for the building. So I can tell you from the community, those are the things you hear. You might not like hearing some of that stuff,
I can
but
hear
there's a lot of residents that that aren't connected with you guys.
Yep.
And I just want to state for the record, I've always been supportive of the fire company. You said that I had constant attacks. Just because I'm looking at the financials of certain things doesn't mean I'm not supportive. I've supported the building. I stood outside town hall the day of that vote for your new building to advocate for it. Over the years, I've always been supportive of the fire company. So I just want to make that
Well, I
clear.
want to make, the last meeting, there was a comment made that the fire company, didn't want the state police in the building. That was an unfactual comment.
Well,
The comment was inappropriate and out of place.
I'll
The,
clarify that for
that
you.
was a committee's decision when a third of the building was reduced. Third of the building was. cut.
That was a committee's decision when I was still on that committee. And you weren't chair at that.
I was never chair.
Okay. Yeah, there was other members that were on there and that was what came. So when someone stated that we should consolidate town buildings, that statement was say,
But Brett-
not everything works out to
Right.
be consolidated.
But the constant, always a little ding towards the fire company is the constant thing we see. So take it as it is. That's how we see it, received. So.
Well,
Okay, so why don't we're off track. We're supposed to be talking about a ladder truck. Jason, you have something to say? So, now I'm gonna say something about the fire company. All right.
Can I, Bob, before you say that, can I just ask, a
Sure.
quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
I know there's discrepancy about how long to keep the engine after we buy the Quint. I am a little bit uncomfortable comfortable in your assessment, but we know I can have my car come out of the shop and 2 weeks from now, something else could break.
Right.
So I think we've got to find a happy medium. If it's not the full 5 years that we keep two, Brett, I think I'm advocating for at least a year that we keep both, not knowing what potentially could happen to that Quint when we get it in our possession.
Right. My only, my concern with that is fire engine is a 95, the Quint's a 97. Historically, the town hasn't followed a plan to replace vehicles on time. That's why we're in the situation we're in. I'm not confident that the town's gonna replace this vehicle. So we say 5 years, whatever, we wanna do it. You need to order this new piece of equipment next year's budget to be in 5 years. If we don't do that, you're pushing everything out and now it's gonna be a 6, 7, 8, 10-year vehicle sitting there. Now it way surpassed its life expectancy. That is my concern and again, it is a 97 aerial device. If that fails, because it is a used piece of equipment, we're taking that chance. Jason inspected it. It hasn't been ours for the last 25 years, whatever it is. It hasn't been ours. We know engine 2. Again, I've said it before, as I said to the town when we replaced the tanker, there was nothing wrong with the tanker replacement. It's 30 years old. There is nothing currently wrong with engine 2. There is no reason to get rid of it, except it's almost 30 years old. We're trying to improve the town's fire protection by getting this Quint. Once we get trained up on it and we're comfortable with it, you purchase the new one, you sell both of them, and you're off to the races.
Thank you.
Okay, no, it's okay. So I just want to make a statement about the fire company. I was thinking about this. Nicole knows when I blow leaves around, I think a lot because all I hear is a buzzing sound in my head and nobody's bothering me. But I happen to be thinking in great depth about the fire company the other day. And I was thinking the biggest problem we have with our volunteer fire company, it's true with most of them, is a marketing problem. Since I got this I Am Responding app, there's been many a cold, dark night that it goes off. I'm saying, I'm so glad that I don't have to go out of the house at 10 o'clock and go to that car crash or put that fire out. I've learned a lot since I've had that, and I appreciate the fact that, and I'm too old to be a firefighter at this point, but I appreciate the fact that we have people that can do it. I mean, it's of 5,100 people in this town, we have about 35 people that are willing to put their lives on the line, go out, leave their wives, their families at all hours of the night, whether it be a crash, a tree limb down on a power line we could have had on Monday. It's a thankless job, and it's only a special few that do it. But I think that if you go through town and you ask this question, like we could have went the other night at the light parade, I could have said to the first person that came to, what are you thinking about the fire company? And they could have said, the fire company's a bunch of great guys. They do a great job. I love them. They put fires out. And then you can run to the second guy, and the second guy's gonna say, you know, it's a bunch of whiners, spoiled brats. They run a good old boy fraternity house over there, and they complain if they don't get what they want. I think that is a serious marketing problem, because I think that if that's the way that some people think of the fire company, then it's tough to get when you ask for something. And your job, chief, is, I think you got two major jobs in no particular order. You have to keep the town safe, and you have to keep your firefighters safe. And the only way you can keep your firefighters safe is to train the heck out of them and have adequate equipment that works when it needs to work. So that's your job. And unfortunately, sometimes when you ask for that, it seems like that it's not you personally, but I just say the firefighters, oh, they're asking for something else, they're asking for something else. But your job is to evaluate what you have for equipment and determine if this next piece of equipment is something that we really need. It's not a nice to have, it has to be a need to have. And after watching the presentation that Kyle put on, and this unsafeness of walking on a roof, and having, I think in that particular film, that fell through the roof, or getting up on a roof, or putting up a ladder and there's ice on the ground, there's ice on the gutters. It's, to me, it's for the amount of money that you're asking for this particular truck is minimal compared to the $1.3 million, the $1.4 million you might ask for later. But this right now, to me, it seems like it's the first time in many years, and I haven't advocated for a ladder truck in the past because I didn't want to spend the kind of money that we were talking about. But this is almost something that dropped into our lap. As Jason said, if you went on the open market to buy this particular truck, you might pay $120,000 for it. We're going to get it for 50. Yes, it's not the right color. I get that. But I really think that you mentioned all the things you do for the town. And I wish that more people knew all the things that you do for the town. I mean, I know some of them. I know you go to the school, and I know you have the poster contest, and I know you're at the fairgrounds, and you do the bonfire, and then you open your doors to open house, and there's things you do, but I don't think everybody knows all the things that you do. And again, I don't think there's any marketing major. I could be wrong. Is there any marketing majors in this crew? Oh yeah, not sure. John, no. All right. So, there's one back there, Carolyn. So I think it's marketing what you do and making people understand that you're our friends, our neighbors, people we know, people we work with. They're going out at all hours of the night to protect us. I really don't care too much as a citizen about the fire company unless my house is burning down, and I care a lot about the fire company, right? Because I need you to be there to put the fire out.
You don't need us till you need us.
Right. So it's like anything, it's an insurance policy. I like to know that you're there, but I think, and don't take this the wrong way, but I see that you have a lot of people here tonight. And know what's going to happen is when we get done with this, and I don't blame you because I wouldn't want to be here anyway, but when we get done with this topic, you're going to go. And it seems like that, whether it be the library, whether it be KNSA, whether it be the fire company, it seems like we get a lot of people in to talk about one particular subject. And when it's over, I guarantee you I'll be speaking to one person after Alan, because he hasn't done his presentation yet. And but it's so you know what I'm saying? So I think and maybe it's something that in my role and your role, we can do a better job of marketing the fire company and making sure that people understand all that you do. But that's what I was thinking about. So I'm blowing leaves. I'm thinking about you guys. I'm thinking about where is the problem. And I think it's true with a lot of volunteer fire companies. I come from Coventry, Rhode Island. We have 3 fire districts there. We had 3 fire, and they were constantly having problems and fighting. And I hear the same thing. And I think there was a problem in Norwich recently. It happens. And we have 1 fire district for the 3rd largest town in Connecticut, right?
We cover the most square mileage out of one firehouse.
So, and probably when I see North Kingston, Rhode Island has 4 firehouses, and Coventry has 3 or 4, and they're smaller towns than we are. And I can understand when that report probably did say that we could have probably used one, up near my house somewhere in northwest corner, somewhere in Clocks Falls. It would make sense, even if you had 1 engine in each, but volunteers could go there. Maybe that'll be happening somewhere down the road.
I'm not fighting for that. We just got done with the.
No, but I think somewhere down the road, I think maybe long after we're going, that I can see that happening. And as you said, to abolish the volunteer fire company, we can only work with mutual aid for so long, and then you realize those runs are much longer, taking a long time to get to the houses, and also the other towns are paying for the firefighters. And they said, wait a minute, when's North Stonington going to start chipping in? Why are we paying for this, but we keep going to their town? And I know to bring in a full-time fire company is very expensive proposition. Like, I had someone advocating for us to bring in a full-time police department and get rid of the 2 troopers. Looking at the numbers there, it would not make sense for me to do that. So I guess that's all I want to say about it. I think this particular deal makes sense to me. I think it's a job that we have to keep our firefighters safe. So when my phone goes off at 11 o'clock at night, I know that they're safe and I know that they go into a job and something's happening in a positive way.
So just to hit on the point is, now we're right around, we're gonna be at 400 calls this year, fire companies responded to, missed 0. Fire companies are responding to every call we're dispatched to. We're not obligated to respond to medical calls. We are supplemental. The ambulance is responsible for medical calls. We assist them. So maybe there may be a medical call we don't respond with them with, but because that is their primary response, we hold the R1 and the R1 and R5. Right. The ambulance handles that. We're supplemental, so we assist them when we're available. So every fire-related call, fire company's gotten the vehicle on the road, responded to every one of them. So we have not missed a call. So that's one fact. And then going back to the groups of people that talk to someone, we've had this meeting before. The town's thirds. They love you, they hate you, or they just don't care. Send them my tax bill. If you never leave your group of people, you'll never realize it's a group of people that hate you. And then, so you get out of whatever group you're in town. You might think everybody loves you. It's not true. So once you venture out of your comfort zone, you realize there's 3 groups in this town. You're never going to make all 3 happen.
But how can anyone hate a fireman or a fire company unless it's bad marketing?
I'm
Right.
not sure. It's really hard to market a fire department because it's really not.
Well, no, it isn't, because everyone out there has either a wife, a mom, a dad, a child that they're leaving at all hours of the night to protect me and everybody else in town.
I can't post car accident and certain things because it's HIPAA violations. You got to be very careful because, like, I come to your house for a fire. You may not want pictures of your house posted all over social media that your house burned down tonight. So there are things that you can do, and then we're very, because you see a lot of firefighters post a lot, and we don't. We try to be respectful for the residents in our style. I'm not going to take a picture of your car, especially like I know it's your vehicle. I'm not going to post the first selectman's vehicle in a car accident in town. I'm not going to post Brett's house burned down tonight. There's certain things that a little common sense, a little privacy for the people of our town. But we do. We post the Santa runs. There will be some major like storms that we have. We'll post some pictures, stuff like that. We did the Facebook video we put together 4 years ago now. Put that out there. So we've done the campaign. We joined the Volunteer Fire Council, which I sat in Hartford for about 3 months. We went to Windsor Locks. We were part of that where they did the big campaign of posters, online things, everything. We took part in that. So it's not like we haven't done a campaign for it. We've done it. We've tried everything we can think of. We did the social media blast. Did we do the mailer? We talked about doing the mailer. I thought we sent the mailer at one point. But there was we've tried a lot. Again, you're not wrong. If there's a way we can do it better to get people to come in, but also people need to understand it's not just your local fire department. Each one of these individuals sitting in the room are trained at the same levels of career firefighter. That is not an option. That is a requirement. So individuals that say, well, it's how Steinhardt runs the firehouse. That's the law. I follow the law to protect you, me, and each individual sitting in the chairs with them. There's requirements for training, requirements for making calls. The requirements for making calls are to ensure the town's getting the best bang out of their buck. Because if they're going to pay for all the gear and equipment for each individual, we make sure they get the return on their investment. So that's why there's a percentage requirement. That's why there's a training requirement for all of our members. So when you hear a lot of people, former members, complain that they got kicked out, yeah, you did. You failed to meet your required trainings to make sure you're trained to protect me, him, the next person, and then provide the best protection for you, or the required actual call percentage. So yes, there is a policy procedure and a whole chain that we follow for the fire company. It's run like a business. You have to, because at the end of the day, it's our safety. I want to ensure everyone over there comes home at the end of the call.
And that's your job, and I appreciate that. So I think, Carolyn, you're starting a fire club at the school, correct? And Charlie, when you do the quarterly, you have a section in the quarterly? Okay, I'm just thinking maybe we can do spotlight sometimes maybe do spotlight on firefighters. Sometimes they get get people to know who you guys are. Carolyn's.
And I just wanted to bring up the fact that I did reach out to Kristen St. Germain and the new superintendent, and I met with them a couple weeks ago. And I had reached out to the Board of Ed as well prior to meeting with them, just to let them know that our members are aging out and we are in desperate need of members, and we're doing what we can to, get a pipeline going. So we talked and they agreed that we could do a fire EMS club with the school. And right now we're in the process of, getting volunteers from the department that are willing and able to meet, on those days and then collaborate with the school. So, I mean, we're actively trying to build these bridges and get, new members in. And even if it's not just the students, like maybe some of their family members might want to join or become a part of this. But I've been a member for over 30 years, and our family is multi-generational. So, all of these people, they're sacrificing their time to volunteer, but they're also doing other things and they're working full time. Or some of them are working multiple full-time jobs. It's a lot. So when people say, it's just hard to explain because now I am responding, so you see what I hear every night because I hear every single call, whether it's an ambulance, fire truck going out, and all I can say is God bless these guys. And I'm very thankful that I live in a town where we have the quality of firefighters that we do, and that they're willing and able to come out and sacrifice time away from their families to serve the public because that's what they're doing. And so I think we've always been frugal and, tried to be respectful of the taxpayers. And we also are taxpayers. So, it's our money too. So I don't want to pay more taxes if I don't have to. I'm going to do what I can to help where I can to save and keep costs down. So I just want you to know we are doing everything that we can to try to get more people in and be aware. But like Charlie said, you do have to consider the privacy of the public, and you can't, put it out there, like how many calls and where they are and what it is. But I can assure you that if you are on the receiving end of needing the care or help, it's very much appreciated. And I've been in that situation personally with my own family where we've had to call for the ambulance or fire company. And I just can't say enough about them, not just because I'm a member, but because truly they are special people. And it makes a difference when you know the people that are coming to help you when you need it.
So you're doing the marketing for the
I
firehouse?
am doing the marketing. Well, I'm trying to help, but again, I mean, I'm busy.
Well, so
too.
there's that statement the chief made is it's three groups of people. The ones that like you guys, the ones that don't care about you guys, and the ones that don't like you guys. How can anyone not like someone that's gonna come to the house and put out a fire? So think about why that is.
I think some people just like to complain. and
Well, I
that's-
think that, I mean, it could be a financial thing, right? Like you
It
cost
could
them
be a-
too much money. That could be one thing, but sometimes it could be just the way the message is delivered. And I think that's the marketing part, right? How do we deliver the message that we've got a bunch of great guys doing a great thing for the town, and how can anybody not like them?
I think you just have to realize that everybody's human, and sometimes people say things that maybe they're saying in anger, or they're saying when they're tired, overworked, underpaid, not paid, whatever you want to, the case may be. At the end of the day, we're all just human, and we're
Well-
doing the best that we can.
So I got to think this got into more of a discussion than just a ladder truck, but I think it was needed to have an open discussion about why are we in this position and how can we make things better? So I
I
appreciate
think
it.
everybody just needs to realize that we're all neighbors, and we're here to help our neighbors and friends and the town. The
I
best
know
we
none of you guys are getting rich off the fire company, that's for sure. I see what the stipends are, and it's not a lot of money to go out in the middle of the night and on a cold day, so.
And I'm very thankful that we have what we have. I think our town is blessed, and, maybe I don't like everybody or agree with everybody. But again, at the end of the day, if we're all working towards the same goal, that's where, we're all gonna be successful.
Thank you. So Chief, did you want to, before, we're gonna go, anyone wants to, before we go to a vote or motion? You don't have to tell me where you live, just tell me who you are.
Nathan Brown, and Second Lieutenant, Fire Department. my biggest thing, these guys are gonna laugh because I'm not good at public speaking, so bear with me. But my biggest thing about the ladder truck I just want to strive is the fact that, again, it's a used equipment, but at the same time, if you're have kids or any of that, you go out and buy them a car. You don't go and buy them a brand new car off the bat. Half the people in the department are paid. They know how to use equipment. I dig trenches for a living. I don't know how to use it. It's a learning curve. It's instead of using we use a $50,000 piece of equipment because that's what it is. At this point, it's basically a machine. Now you don't just park it, set the brake, and get out and get what you need. You're physically using it as a machine instead of using a 1.3, $1.5 million equipment. And not saying we're going to destroy the thing, but you're still a learning curve. You got to train with it. You got to figure out how it works. It's a whole learning curve for me. I've never flew an aerial or any of that. So that's the biggest thing is for 5 years, you're training with the equipment. You're getting everyone up to speed, how to use it properly, safely, and don't damage it or anything like that. So that's my biggest point too, is you buy this used equipment and you have such a good deal on it for the fact that they're going for $100,000, $150,000. And just right now, I think it's a really good opportunity that the town has instead of going out and spending, like I said, 1.3, $1.5 million for brand new apparatus and not everyone knowing how to exactly use it. So, I mean, that's my opinion.
No, I mean, that's a good point.
I just
Thank
wanted to
you.
make sure that was said. So I
Thank
don't know
you.
if it was said in other presentation, but
It's good to hear again.
Just to follow up with Caroline, we are doing like the school project. I think you saw that Gloucester, Connecticut actually just started a program also, posted the other day. They got funded $100,000 to get their program running. Because I think they're gonna have an actual instructor teaching it and stuff, where our volunteers will be teaching it. Once we get vetted and approved by the school to be in the school to do a program, the volunteer firefighters working a job, responding to medical calls and emergency calls are also going to be in your schools teaching, hopefully, kids to get them involved in your fire company. That's on all in our spare time, where most people currently are working 2-3 jobs to survive. We're asking, again, our current serving volunteers to do another task. So I just want to say is thank you for your time tonight. Even though we may disagree on things, Brett, I do appreciate your time and looking into things.
Question on that after school, though. Is that an after school program or a during school program? Just curious.
Yeah,
Great.
So Carolyn, you're saying it's like one night a week and it's kind of like a late afternoon? Okay, so after this, at the end of the school day before sports. I went because you're not on mic. I figured I'd just repeat what you were saying. Right. And it's open, and so 145 and 245 open to high schoolers, juniors, seniors, wow. Any, okay. All right, so mostly high schoolers and there'll be a teacher assigned. Thank you. Okay.
so for like the fire company, you have to be 16 to join a fire company. That's the youngest age you can join. So just that's a clarification. But also, we're getting back real quick on the volunteer side of things. We are still relying heavily and we're starting for the surrounding communities. Around us is a lot worse off than we are. We are still in a good position, but we're a lot lower than we used to be. So we're not in crisis mode currently. We have an adequate member staff pool right now compared to a lot of departments around us. But we're not where we used to be. 10, 15 years ago, we were up to around 40, 45 members. We used to have a cap of 50. We're at 35 now. We're not hitting the cap. So just see where we're not at the point where we're going to have to hire 15 paid staff, to get fire trucks ready. We're not at that. No, again, we need our daytime people. The current 2 people we have this year, the funding, we need to fund that. Again, we need to have our people. During the day, it's crucial to have those 2 people in the boat.
So just, if you guys keep just projecting a positive message, right? No more all the guys are gonna walk out the door, the positive message that we want to hear. And we'll try to do the same in return to you guys. And I think that's the only way that we're gonna survive is moving forward and if we're moving in the same direction, so.
Bob,
With that,
I'd actually like to suggest that maybe we add to a future agenda, firehouse marketing, recruitment, and relations to it. I don't want you guys to think that you're doing this all on your own. I think that we can partner. Honestly, Chief, I think the more that the community can see that everybody in this room wants the same thing. We're all residents. Carolyn said it. We're all paying taxes. We're all human. We all get passionate about things that we feel passionate about.
Right.
We want to partner with you guys to help bring in additional members. And I think the more that the community can see that we're all on the same page, I think that will be easier. And I would like to have a larger discussion. Obviously tonight was about the Quint. But I'd like to have a larger discussion about in the future on marketing, recruitment and relations with the firehouse.
All right, great, thank you.
Thanks.
So why don't we, entertain a motion
Yeah,
about the,
so I'll make a motion to, I guess what we're doing tonight is making a motion to move the purchase of a used Quint ladder truck to the tune of $50,000 to the Board of Finance for approval to go to a town meeting.
correct.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, first and second. Any further discussion?
The only thing that I want to reiterate is I'm not comfortable with the 5-year hold on engine 2. But I understand the chief's concern and, you come to some of our meetings, but I think we've all been pushing that with our capital plan, that we need to stick to it. So when we say we're purchasing a truck in those years, we're gonna do it. For all capital, we're trying to do that, so we're not getting hit with big purchases for 1 year. So I know we committed to doing that, and we started it actually with the pickup truck for last year, continuing it this year, so this year you can get that one. And then, move forward with all this stuff, but that's my only concern.
No,
is
and I
the
agree. I think it
5-year
is a
time.
concern. I know a member of the Board of Finance, when we were at the firehouse that morning, was talking about it, and he actually said, I understand if you had to keep it for a year or so to make sure that the ladder truck's working the way we want it to work. But yeah, as far as the 5 years, that's something we'll have to talk about down the road.
Right.
So, let's take a vote, and then we know if we do vote to move it, the next step will be I would have to put it on the Board of Finance.
When is
agenda.
their next,
I think
meeting?
it's January 3rd. If it went, so January 3rd is their next meeting. If it survived through the Board of Finance, it would come back to us on January 9th. And tentatively, I'm thinking January 22nd for a town meeting. Because we have other things we have to talk about at the town meeting, so.
January what?
So tentatively, you got a Board of Finance on January 3rd, Board of Selectmen
Us.
on January 9th. And then because of there's a number of days you have to have before, when you call a meeting, the earliest we could do would be on Monday, January 22nd.
Okay.
Okay, but we have to do that. It's not, nothing's in stone at this point.
I'm assuming, Chief, that the Colchester knows that we're in discussions and we have an interest, correct?
So.
They're not gonna sell it out from underneath us, right? If this all
No.
goes through.
Because, we started this process back in October. Because then, started talking about it and moving forward. So there was a letter of interest to buy a truck. Their new trucks they just did the final inspection on them. They should be receiving the new trucks any day. So as long as they have space to store it in their building, hopefully,
gonna
hopefully
hold-
they don't we need to get it out of here to ship it away.
Well, maybe we can store it for them.
That, the previous chief, actually, we had a discussion on that. He had no problems, new one, come in, send it to us, let us practice and make sure it was something we wanted and all this stuff.
So there's a new chief there.
And a new first
And a
selectman
new
too.
first chief.
No, same chief, new first
Same- oh,
selectman.
sorry. Sorry, I was thinking selectman change, the chief's still the chief. That once theirs is there, because they're gonna need that old one there for a few weeks while they train all their staff on the new one. So once they're done training, then he said, we can take it for a couple days, whatever, train with it down here to make sure that's exactly what we needed and all that stuff.
If we get through this meeting, hopefully we do, and then I can reach out to the new first selectman and introduce myself, because I did send the letter to the old first selectman. He was on board, so yeah,
We understand this process. They're a town, they understand the process, so.
but at least they're coming from me. I can at least tell them that there's interest. We're going through a process.
Appreciate it.
And one
Thank you.
last thing before you leave, before we vote, you're not gonna come to us and ask for an $80,000 paint job.
No.
Okay.
Do you want me to?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Joe was a little, he didn't love the yellow, but he said he would be
No,
okay
no,
with it.
Nobody does.
Right.
We take a lot of pride in our vehicles up there. That's why you get 30 years out of a truck up there. We do take, something breaks, we fix it. We have a lot of pride in the apparatus up there. We protect the taxpayers' investment. We do. And yes, would it, in the white truck be nice? It would be awesome. But we'll survive with yellow. We're just gonna put our
Okay.
name on it.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Charlie, have you ever seen the movie My Cousin Vinny? You know, when he asked if these pants would look good when I go deer hunting, and remember what she told him? The deer doesn't really care what pants you have on when you blow his head off, so. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's let's vote. All those in favor of approving and moving this to the Board of Finance, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. So,
Just for you guys out there, I would, and I'm sure Chief will have you come, but make sure you show up for the Board of Finance. Because if that group votes it down, then it doesn't come back to us to go to a town meeting. So we're the first step in the hurdle. They'll be the second. And,
yeah, I'm gonna try to get on there January 3rd, meeting. Okay. Because for me to do the town meeting on the 22nd, and it has to work in reverse. So I gotta go to 3rd, so I can come to us on the 9th, so we go there 22nd, so
because
And
they
it-
canceled their December 22nd meeting, correct?
20th. They
Okay.
canceled December 20th. And Jason, it'd be good to have you there for that same talk that you just gave us. All right. Okay, that's it for the fire company tonight. And feel free to leave. We're stuck here, but you guys can go.
We're jealous.
Okay.
Thank you for coming, guys.
All right. Next thing we want to talk about. So you might have been confused when I saw this, and so was I, as a resolution that we have to sign. So I looked at the one that was signed in the past. The last one before this one was done on the 12th day of January 2014. It was signed by Norma Holiday and Nick Mullane. So all it is they call it a master municipal agreement. It should be in your packet. And it just means that we are able to put stuff out to bid if we're going to do any kind of municipal building in town. It doesn't get used very often, but it just allows us to be able to do that. I don't know if you've had a chance to read through it, but basically, if you agree to resolve, and the resolution says this: resolve that the Honorable Robert A. Carlson, First Selectman, is hereby authorized to sign the agreement entitled Master Municipal Agreement for Construction Projects, adopted by the Board of Selectmen on this of the Town of North Stonington, Connecticut, this 12th day of December 2023. And then at that point, if we agree to allow it, then Antoinette will sign it and she'll put the town seal and we send it in.
I'll make a motion to adopt
Thank you, Brett.
resolution.
Oh, it's good. Are you gonna finish? I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thanks. Be the quickest thing we do tonight. Okay, change in the PDZO job description. I spoke to Ed Lerner today, and I just wanted to make sure he knew I wasn't trying to step on his toes in this. As you know, we haven't been able to get a town planner. It's been quite a while. And we do have, currently we have a part-time zoning enforcement officer. And then there's another person that Brett had mentioned up in Sterling that we could consider. I guess what I'd like to do is make a recommendation. We don't have to vote, but just make a recommendation to the Board of Planning and Zoning to possibly split those jobs and have a part-time zoning enforcement officer, which has to do, it's like the good cop, bad cop. They're the ones that have to enforce things. And sometimes the planner, doesn't like to get involved. I know Nate didn't have an appetite for really doing enforcement. I think Juliet got tired doing it because of all the pushback sometimes, and it's not an easy job. So since we have someone that does it now, and we could even reach out to another person as far as getting it done, I'm not worried about that particular part of the job. But I'm wondering if we can talk about maybe changing the job description so that part is off of it. They still would be 80% planning and zoning, 20% EDC. Maybe give them more time to do work with the EDC than they would if they're doing zoning enforcement. And maybe change the title. So we lose the PDZO and make the title something that's more attractive. you know, I don't know what that title would be. I'll look and see what some of the other towns have, but any thoughts?
Yeah, planning and development officer. Or official.
See, planning and development sounds a lot better than zoning enforcement,
Right.
doesn't it? So I just think if we maybe market this a different way, we might be able to get somebody to come in and,
Well, I mean, I think we had really good luck with, I mean, certainly we only added hours to the, tax collector, but we really kind of lucked out with those changes. So I think at this point, we've got to try anything. I remember feedback from Juliet that it was tough to do everything, that it was a lot on one person's shoulders. So I'm in favor of making, we would make a recommendation that the P and Z would go ahead and
yeah,
split it into
it's
two.
actually their call, not ours.
Okay.
So, it's that person, even though that person does report to the board, the first selectman, that person actually works for planning and zoning and it's their person. So we'll be stepping on their toes for us to just make that change. But before I approached Ed and talk to him more so he can talk to his board about it, just want to make sure we're on the same page that we want to do that, split that job. If we don't want to split it, then I wouldn't even make the attempt to get a hold of Ed and talk about it.
Yeah, I can tell you just, so myself, Lou Steinbrenner, Steinbrecker, and Mike came up with this job description in 2018. I'm looking at my old emails back and forth regarding it. And
This is
that's,
the one that I have in the packet, the one that we use for advertising.
yeah, so
Okay.
that was from, so that's when we originally merged the EDC role with the planning and zoning role. And back then we talked about potentially in the future taking the zoning enforcement out because it's basically you're having that person play good cop and bad cop.
Yeah.
And it's even in some of the old emails that we talked about it. I think that would be an ideal thing to do at this point and maybe get some new people in that don't want to deal with the zoning enforcement. There's planners out there that want nothing to do with zoning enforcement, especially so they, you know, over the years dealing with this, there's a lot that love the planning part and the economic development part because they tie in together, right? So you're planning your community, you're working with economic development to on what that looks like. And the biggest thing that I noticed when we merged the EDC and planning and zoning, now some things did fall by the wayside with not having a dedicated EDC person anymore part-time. But what it did was open up the communication between the two boards. So if we had a recommendation from economic development that thought would help grow economic development, that person would also talk to planning and zoning and let them know that. Prior to that, we had our coordinator go and we would write a letter of support or something and send it over, or the coordinator would then talk to the planner. But throughout the whole process, zoning was always talked about as being like the side work that people didn't love to do. And it takes a different type of person sometimes to
I
fall for that
agree.
role. So I think that could be part of the issue that we're not getting some good resumes in. I mean, there are other towns in our area that are looking for similar positions. So
That doesn't help.
that doesn't help either, but I think it might help and it's one step in the right direction. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think Ed talking to the rest of his board and getting buy-in.
Oh, there's a
Would-
meeting on Thursday. I'm gonna go
Right.
to P and Z meeting, so I thought I'd bring it up there if you guys were okay with it, so.
Yeah, because I don't know, I don't know if they actually ever voted on that job description change, but I know Lou talked to them about it at the time.
Okay,
I'm
Great.
fine with that.
good, thank you. 5-year capital, I've been working with Alan. Alan, you got a second to talk about this? So we're working, Alan, I've come up with maybe a different way to look at capital. We saw the kind of numbers that the Board of Finance wanted us to hold us to, and they're almost, I would say, unreasonable to a point where we're so far behind the 8 ball, and we've kicked the can down the road both with the fire company and the highway garage.
Let's just
and
say that was
else.
Gary and Nino though. that made that recommendation, not the board.
Yeah, and
A member of the Board of Finance made that recommendation.
No,
No,
it was
I-
just Gary from the board. Mike
I thought that it
reiterated
was
at the
just
last
Gary.
Yeah,
meeting.
that's a member of the Board of Finance.
Oh, I thought you said the Board of Finance. was
Said a
the
member
person.
of the
Okay.
Board.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't throwing names out there, I was just using a member of the Board of Finance. But if you want to throw out Gary, do you
No,
know him?
no, it was vocal.
Okay, so, Alan's been in my office and we came up with an idea. I know it's kind of what we used to do in the back. We actually have one going right now with the fire company on their tanker truck where we lease something. We used to say, why don't we just save and save and save, and then we get enough money, we buy it. But I think that maybe that's not the right way to do it right this second. I'll tell you why. We looked at some vehicles, that we looked at the loader, we looked at the hook truck, and we looked at two other trucks, plow trucks. And we thought, what if we took and leased, not leased, if we finance these for 3 years? So what's the positive about financing it for 3 years? Well, one is you get the truck now. That's number one. Secondly, we can sell the truck that's it's replacing and get wherever we get for it. So right now we're looking at, I think, a 4.9% interest rate to finance for 3 years. Taking one of these trucks, we'll just take the loader, for instance. So we take the loader and the finances on it is going to be around $20,000. It's going to cost the town to finance this for 3 years. But if we can sell the current loader we have for $20,000 and we're not paying repairs on that loader for 3 more years, the tune of about $5,000 a year in repairs, it makes sense then and we don't know what the inflation is. So, Chief's going to find this out in the pickup truck this year when we put 25,000 away last year, thinking, okay, we'll put 25 last year, 25 this year, and then you're going to get to see the trucks now with 60,000. So it's a nice idea to put, if you have something that's 400,000, put 100,000 away a year, but then in the 4th year, it's really not 100,000 anymore. So by saving on the inflation, saving on the maintenance, selling the truck we have now, more than makes up for the finance charge that we're paying, and we're getting the truck now, and we're getting it on the road. It's not breaking down. So, and it drops our capital budget way down. So by he's got on in your packet, do you have this sheet in your packet? You have this sheet?
Yeah.
If you look at that, now he's asking for, in this one, a loader, a hook truck, number 3 plow and number 4 plow. If you remember, we're at 408,000 when we got done going through this at the last meeting. Right now with these at 392, if I took the number 4 plow truck out of here, we'd be under $300,000. And getting a loader, a hook truck, and a plow truck now. Well, as fast as we could get it. I'm sure there's a lead time and all this stuff. And we're actually saving money by getting it that way. And then at the end of that 3 or 4 year period, now you take the next 2 trucks. So the next 2 trucks, you do the same thing. So now it's a rotation. After 12 years, you pretty much replaced all your trucks. And now there's not a truck in your fleet that's older than 12 years. We're working with trucks now that are in their 20 years, 25 years. And if you're listening, Chief, this is the same kind of thing you can think about with the fire company. So I was a proponent before of let's save. There's a lot of people in this town that say, I'm not buying anything on credit. If I don't have it in my pocket, I'm not buying it. And that makes a lot of sense for a person and person at your own home. But it doesn't always make sense for a town because we're constantly paying high maintenance costs to keep these things on the road. And then we're waiting. And then with the price of the inflation, what we're paying down the road is a lot more than we're paying now. So now that I've said everything that you wanted to say, but talk about what you think about this idea.
So when the last meeting, I got the capital plan you guys had put together for Christine before she had left. I looked at that and I was like, then that loader wouldn't have been bought, if I remember correctly, if I can find it here quick enough, wouldn't be bought till 2028. So with this, it would be, I think it's a year out still. If I ordered it today, it would be a year out, 12 months. I did talk to the dealership probably a month and a half ago now, the Volvo dealer. He said in the last 3 years, it gone up consecutively 12,000 each year. So like I said at the last meeting I was here, if we'd bought it in November, it would have been like just about 200,000. We're now past that. And in March, he expected it to go up again. That's why we're at the number we're at now. I don't know why 24,000 from November to March, but that's what he said it's going to be. So that would be, like I said, the beginning, we actually get it in 26 because it's gonna be 12 months out from when we order it. But, at least it's not ordering it in 28 and not seeing it till 29. And that 403 from what you guys had got was 17 wouldn't have been for 2 years. That's an 8-month lead time. The 103 for truck number 3 wouldn't be till 27. Then you have the 8-month lead time. You're just pushing it way out. So if we did the leasing like me and Bob had talked about, we could order it and then in 8 months see the trucks and then in 12 months see the loader. So it just a lot can go on in 12 months. We could have the one go down that we're gonna swap out, and then we're really in trouble for another year. We had, if you look at the second sheet in there, you'll see where I broke it down. It gives you the years for what we spent on maintenance, the maintenance records on it. That loader at the transfer station in the last 4 years, because this year we haven't put in there yet, was like $23,000 into that machine. You'll see it with the rest of the trucks. 17 was 21,000 in the last 5 years. We're still working on 24, of course. It's not finished yet. Truck 3 is $20,000, $459 so far. Truck 4, like Bob had just said, we could take that truck out. That truck is $19,600 and it's actually at Nutmeg right now, for a new dash. Who knows what that's going to be because it's a whole new dash. It's just they're starting to add up, of course. And if you look further down in your pages, the financing, when I got the different quotes, the trucks for 3 years were 4.89%. So I did the math on that second sheet. You'll see what it cost per year. So the loader was 22,000. We've already dumped 22,000 into that machine in 4 years. So if we didn't do it, we'd be doing it again, possibly. Hopefully nothing would go wrong, but it could happen.
And Alan, that loader, what is that loader used for?
That's the one at the transfer station.
Right, but what they use for up there?
So it's used for everything. To move the furniture, move the refrigerators, it moves everything. The only thing it doesn't do is bulky waste. Sometimes we'll push up, but we don't pack with it. We use the track loader for that.
Right. And then the one that we have down at the highway.
Yep.
What is that one used for?
Loading sand, salt, loading any material at the garage. I used it today to edge back glass of road because somebody's driveway washed out in front of it the other night.
And you believe we need both of them?
Yes. So the one at the garage doesn't have foam filled tires. They're air filled like normal. The one at the transfer station is foam filled because they do run over stuff at bulky waste. They are both used quite a bit. I mean, Donna used the one at the dump and Willie used the one at the dump. It moves a couple times a day. They're there. The garage, we use it at least once or twice a day to load a truck or move something around the yard if it's big. They do get used quite a bit. It would be very tough, because I know where you're going, to move the loader back and forth. And you don't want to drive a foam-filled tire machine down the road.
Right.
It is a horrible ride.
So the way you're looking for this, this loader would go
to the garage, and the garage would go to the transfer station.
So the one at the garage is technically used more?
It's used, I would say, I don't know the exact hours on it's used, but like on Tuesdays, that loader at the dump runs probably 5 hours a day. They use it to clean the shed out, move all the garbage, clean up underneath the trailers. Right now it's used to push the new containers in and out of the recycling. It's used quite a bit. So, I mean, it would be hard for me to share a loader for if I needed to load trucks when it's snowing out and Donna's trying to move dumpsters around. I mean, it's
Right.
going to be,
But what's the rationale of putting the new one at the garage instead of the transfer station?
it's not going to be in the craft at the transfer station, like the bulky waste pile. I mean, you're going to have a 2x4 can hit the counterweight, a tire. It's going to get beat up more there than at the garage.
All right. What year is the one at the garage now?
The one at the garage is an 03. The one at the transfer station is a 90.
Okay. And you're only looking at Volvo?
I've priced out everything. Volvo has the best rebate and Sourcewell pricing. If I remember correctly, don't quote me on this. I think it's 41%. They take right off the top.
And what size, which model are you looking at?
70. The letters change as the years go.
Yeah. And have you looked in any other states,
for,
that loader,
as in.
that might be available or? accessible?
So when I talked to United, they had their John Deere, of course. They have to go through W.I. Clark right now. There's a lot of stuff going on with John Deere right now with them buying out all kinds of companies, so that might change around this area, so pricing could change. But as Volvo has it right now, they give the best rebates or such. But you're talking about as a used loader?
No, I was even new from,
So Sourcewell
places.
is like the best price we can get. And we go off state bid and we see what's better. Right now, I think the Sourcewell one is actually better with the 41% than right from Volvo. So I don't think it matters what dealer you go to, you're getting the deal from Volvo.
right. So I just didn't know if we looked at someone with a shorter lead time on it, if that's,
No,
Part of it.
that's from Volvo. Sad.
But Brett, if we agree to go this route, we can then you can do your quotes, RFPs, whatever you need to do to get the pricing down to where we need to be or get the best deal, correct?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
trying to find out if this is a philosophy that you'd like to adopt. I just think that just by losing that fourth truck, we're going from 403 down to, 298. We're dropping quite a bit on the capital, which gives us more room in the capital for other people that need capital. So,
And
I,
change around that first sheet a little bit first. Because then truck
Yeah.
four, we get pushed back. And then the lower trucks, we get pushed back.
so again, using this philosophy, the pros are we get a truck now, we sell the old truck, which probably could make up for the finance. We save on all the maintenance over the last 3 years, which you see are anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 in maintenance. And we save on whatever the inflation cost is on the truck when we go to buy it 3 to 4 years from now. The negatives, obviously, is we are going to pay a finance charge. If we sell the old truck, it's 4 years older than it is now, so we're going to get less for it 4 years from now than we get for it now. And we have to wait 4 years to get it. So
Yeah.
it's,
it pretty much negates the revenue that our treasurer was able to make us on the investments, pretty
what do you
much.
mean?
Because I think that was about 5% a year on those, the
If you
500,000
compare-
we put away,
right.
yeah.
So if you compare that finance charge to what the treasurer made, yes, but if you compare the finance charge to the inflation of the truck, the maintenance of the truck, and and what we can get for the truck if we sell it now versus 3 or 4 years ago, the old truck. I mean, it depends what you're comparing it to. I mean, why would you compare the finance charge to what the interest is that the treasurer's getting? It's not just because they're both banking.
No, I'm comparing it, so when Board of Finance says we like to take it out of our own money, so we're not paying interest on it, we're making interest on the money anyways, so it's a wash, is the way I look at it.
Mhm.
So yes, we're paying finance charges, but it's a wash on the paying of the interest in
No,
that
I
regard.
understand.
Yep.
I mean, I think last meeting when we sat here and we went through just the highway, I don't even remember if we got through the entire capital list, the 5-year plan. We slashed as much as we could uncomfortably and got nowhere near the figure that we've heard from Board of Finance that they're gonna approve for capital. So, I mean, I think, right, so this is outside, this is a little bit outside my comfort zone as far as my education about the finance. This then becomes fixed capital costs every year. We don't have an option to say, we don't have the money in the budget this year to pay that credit card bill. It becomes something that we have to pay.
So
And-
to the tanker truck and with the firehouse, we're on
Yeah.
year 5 of 7 or whatever it is. So you're right, it is. But if we're also trying to say, well, let's put
Oh, no,
50,000 ahead, like we do with the bulky waste pile.
I'm
Uh,
not saying that I'm not in favor of it. I'm just understanding it in my head. The inflation
So
concerns me.
I had texted Jim, actually right before the meeting from the town of Preston. They had got a new 6-wheeler last year, just about the same. The only thing, there was a couple of cosmetic things that were changed on that truck. He had priced that truck out, it was 230,000. When I got the last price, that was last year. When I got the price, it was 262,538.
Yeah.
So it's already 30,000 up in a year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the
Um,
used market's starting to tank, so that's not great.
So would we have to make this recommendation to the Board of Finance?
Yeah, what we do is when we present our 5-year capital plan, if we're gonna do it this way, this is how we would present
With
it.
leasing?
So my only thing on it would be, do we do them all right now? Or do we do a few now and then start the other ones
Well,
next year?
I mean, I think.
So then we're not replacing them all again at the same time.
No, so if we did the loader, the hook truck and a one plow truck now, we get the second plow truck. We did that now, when those get paid in full, now you can do 3 more vehicles, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right, but you
You
have,
want to stagger it, right? Yeah. You don't
right, but
want
right
your
now
whole
you
fleet.
have 4. So you have the loader and then 3 trucks.
well, yeah, but I'm saying I'd like to knock, that Alan has 4. I would like to knock.
Oh,
truck-
okay, this was
knock-
Alan's, not yours.
Yes, I want
Gotcha.
to knock
okay.
No,
truck
I gave
4 off.
Alan the,
Yeah.
I gave Alan the
So-
formula. He got a little greedy with the
The
4th
fir-
truck.
the first 3 years, if you would knock truck 4 off, would bring it to 296, 528, 78 for the next 3 years. I shouldn't say that. That'll bring it for the next 3 years for 17 in the loader. And
So you
3,
would knock
sorry, but-
number 4 off, is that?
so, yep, truck number 4, plow dump truck number 4.
Now, why is,
Number 3 is a 4-year plan. If you look at your other sheets, the one that says tandem, that you could knock that to a 3-year plan, the price just goes up per year
why is that one so much more than the number 4?
because it is a tandem X.
Okay,
So if you went to a 3-year plan with that truck alone,
no, I'd stay 4.
because it goes from 96, 218.62
Yeah.
to 105, 360 a year.
Cause that gives
Which
our
is quite a
capital,
bit.
that jumps up our capital, what we cut it to last meeting. There,
500,
the recommendation.
right? I mean, it is literally impossible.
Sure.
So, we discussed, Bob and I discussed this, and we know highway department, fire company, we're in a hole with vehicles, capital purchases. And we discussed the bond package. Say we get a $4 million bond package together, highway department trucks, we address, I'm not sure, it's right here if you bought them all. This and 2 or 3 fire trucks. If you finance them or you bond them for 10 years, you're talking a $400,000 payment. That's not including your interest, whatever you're doing with it. That gets us out of the hole, gets us under the number of the 500,000. You address your problems now that need to be replaced. Then you have to address the continuing capital long-range plan. So if you do the $4 million, roughly, I'm just round numbers, it's $400,000 a year for 10 years. Gets us out of the hole. Where now we've addressed the current town problem with our apparatus and vehicles. Make your plan and then save up for it. Now we're under the 500,000. You're at 400. You start putting money away and saving up to your next purchases. And then, but in my opinion, $500,000 is unrealistic. That might have been a good number 10, 15 years ago. But with inflation of all these vehicles, we're never going to keep up with that number. We're going to have to go up on the capital.
Thank you. And we might have to have a separate plan for the fire company and ambulance than we do for the highway garage. One plan might work better for them and one plan might work better for you. But that was just the fire company. Thank you. All right, so, I don't know how far we want to go in capital tonight, but I mean, that would, to me, that would lower this by quite a bit. And we do have to talk about, we can at least bring that, if we want to do this, we'll bring this to the Board of Finance with this plan. Unless you want to come up with if you have another idea, we can do something. Just when I look at that, in the 5-year,
So I would, as we're moving through this process, because we have until January, what? To give them our capital plan, 3rd or 4th,
January 3rd, I expect it.
in their meeting when?
January 3rd.
So as of now, we would cross off or move number 4 1 year over. Is that correct?
No, I would have moved number 4, 3 years over. I
We're
would,
gonna have to move
once
the-
we start this
move the whole
process,
plan over 3 years. So from truck 4 down, it'll all get pushed a little bit.
Why?
well, because we just got 3 new vehicles in one shot.
Right, but next year we get another one and we get rid of one.
Yeah, but we're not getting rid of one. Oh, you're getting rid of one old, I can bring in a new truck, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So why would we get them all at that same
Well,
year?
just trying to keep these, keep the number at the 400,000 or less number. If we had, when the first three, the 2 or 3 years and 1 or 4 years gets paid in full, then you can bring in 3 more vehicles. At the end of 12 years, you've got all your vehicles replaced. But to do it each year, I mean, now you're gonna keep raising the capital up higher. Because you're still paying for the first 3 when you add one in the 4th year, and then you're still paying for the first 4 when you add one in the 5th year. Now you're paying for 5 vehicles in this,
But then the one that's going out 4 years, that'll just, so we'll have a bump in that year.
either a bump or you only get 2 trucks, the year before, and then you get 3 trucks again the year that the one that's 4 years is paid in full.
Okay.
If you look at the bottom line numbers, how they stay pretty consistent by doing it this way. And I would
And
take
this is just, we have to remember, this is just highway,
just highway, right?
that's 100,000.
Well, if we take the 96 out, we're under 300,000. If we move that to year 4, now we're
But
under.
then we have to add in all the bulky waste closure.
Well, yes, that stuff's gonna have to be added, and this is just the trucks.
Okay.
I just think it's a lot. We were 120,000 less than what we were.
Yeah,
when we
I'm okay with the financing at 4.9%. It does make sense. I understand both sides of it. Why pay interest if we don't have to, when we can take it out of? I mean,
Yeah, but
unless,
even when we put together the saving plan, I don't think we still can't make it work. We still can't keep it under the 500,000.
no,
Like, even if we were to put away a certain amount of money every single year to purchase it, I still don't think we can
Yeah.
make it work.
no, I agree. And
So this goes to the Board of Finance. They have to approve the fact that we would potentially finance. Right.
they just approve our capital plan.
So if they disagree with us financing it, are we dead in the water, or is that something that we can make?
I don't
that
know, I
decision.
don't know if they can disagree with with the financing. So when we financed other things before, I don't think Board of Finance weighed in on the actual financing. They weighed in on the timing. And just like when they changed the school building project from a 20-year note to a 30-year note, Board of Finance had no say or knowledge of it.
I just want to understand the process of, if tonight we agree that this is the best route for the highway asks, what is the next step?
Well, we have to look at the,
We have to
transfer
finish
station
looking at
and
the
the,
capital.
computers and the fire company.
And tell me one more time when we have to have the capital plan.
I'm thinking
December-
if we get to
January 3rd.
January 3rd, but we might not have the whole thing by then. Maybe we'll just have the highway department and the transfer station. We still gotta look at computers and firehouse and ambulance.
And
But I
where-
think the point of it was not to get it muddied with the budget. So we can say, this was our capital and we're standing firm on our capital. And then we build the rest of the budget knowing our capital is, we didn't want to touch it. That's the reason that, we talked about doing it this way and that other towns do it this way. So once it's done, we put that aside and say, that's our capital. And now we're working on our budget.
So just from a timeline
So we don't cut budget,
standpoint,
capital all the time.
from a timeline, do we meet on the 26th, the day after Christmas?
No, we don't meet again this month. We meet on the 9th.
Or
So
we'd
there's
have to have
no
a
way
special
We're gonna have
meeting.
anything ready for the 3rd, though.
What I'd say is we could go to them with the, see if they like this idea, what we're doing with the highway garage. And I think when we talk about the fire company and the ambulance, we might have to look at it a different way, like I said, either through if we can't hit their number, but we need things, we have to do it like a bond, like the chief said. Or we have to, try to use the same formula with the highway garage with the fire company.
But we don't know what their number really is.
We don't, no.
Who's running the tri-board on,
Board of
um,
Ed.
Board of Ed,
Board of Ed?
we can talk about it.
I was just gonna say, I think maybe just bringing up the topic, as an option for trying to make all this capital
Yeah.
work. I mean, we talked about the fact that we have to make up for lost time and that there might be some
But I think this is
asks outside of,
I think this is a move. I think this is something that I could appreciate that we're thinking of better ways to do things because we can't live with the number they gave
Yeah.
us. So, I agree at the tri board meeting would make sense, which
Yeah.
is a week from tonight.
Right. So, yeah, we have to make this work, but we have to be mindful of our taxpayers.
I know.
That's huge. So as we talk about this, I want to bring up something that we haven't talked about.
Is it on the agenda?
Well, it's part of capital.
Oh, yeah, that's something, yeah.
Potentially. And that's the library ask and when that's gonna happen for their capital project. Now, Nicole, you weren't at the event, at the library
I
event,
could not make.
but
it.
at that event is when they went public and announced, they said, if any of you guys see a Board of Finance member or a selectman here, please talk to them about our capital. We're asking the town for $2 million for their renovations. Now, I don't know when, I know, Bob, you probably talked to them. I don't know when that's gonna come our way.
Their calendar is they're looking to go to the town in March during budget season and have it on the May referendum on the budget. So it'd be a separate line item. So if you have the library ask would be on one line and the budget for the town would be on one line, the budget for the school would be on one line.
That's if we choose to send it that way.
Exactly.
So I look at it just like this. We go through our budget and say this doesn't make financial sense for the community or the town to put through every capital request. I think we will need to do something maybe similar with that and come up with a number that might be palatable, unless you want to go with that full number. But I think and that's the only way that I would vote to send it to a town meeting, into a referendum, is
To
that if
separate
it's
it out.
voted on at the same time as the budget, so people understand the implications.
No,
Because-
exactly. And they'd have to say, what does this mean per household? What does this cost per household?
Right, 'cause-
And if it's in it, the budget referendum, it's gonna get voted on by everyone. So
Right.
you could actually see the budget pass and the library go down, if that could
Right.
happen.
Because I worry, and I'm supportive of the library and all they do, but I also worry that if we don't do it during that process, people don't understand that it means if that comes out of our capital, or if that comes out of our undesignated funds, that means the school might not get funded as great as they'd like, or the fire department doesn't get a truck that they need, or the highway doesn't get a loader. Like, there's huge implications for a $2 million ask from the community, that unless we do it during this process,
It has to be
It's
during this process. It has to be totally transparent and during this process.
right. So in your mind, even though, will they touch on that during their presentation to us, or they just,
They're gonna have to. I don't know when that'll be. I think they're aiming towards sometime in March.
okay,
Oh,
so
oh,
they're-
the presentation as far as the budget's one
Yeah.
presentation. I don't know. I can ask them if they're gonna talk about that. They
Because
could.
I feel like waiting, knowing that that's the ask, and we go through all these budgets, and Nicole, you guys know, we go through that budget painstakingly and take out $100 here, $500 there to come up with, at the end of it, a few $1,000s. If we also know that there's $2 million lingering, it
Right.
really changes.
Right, that can't be a surprise. It has to be on the table
lot.
early on. I agree.
Okay. I just wanted to get it out there because I've been thinking about it ever since that night, saying, if that's the ask, we need to talk about it a lot, and we need to talk about it as we're approving a capital plan of $500,000 or $395 out of just a portion of the highway, or when the fire comes, we need to know about it, because
Agreed.
it's gonna be a nightmare if we don't.
So why don't we talk about this more at the tri-board meeting next Tuesday? If we have to call a special meeting, maybe the week between Christmas and New Year's, we could.
I mean, we
Okay.
could even call it a little earlier than their meeting. I'm okay with it.
The email that we got, budgets from like the fire company aren't due till the 12th of January, so you're not even gonna have our budget in hand for at least that week.
We don't have your budget, but we have your capital. What's this right here?
That is part of it, but that was a draft that you put in there. That's not everything.
But we're gonna need your whole capital plan
oh, yeah.
right away.
We thought we had
So
the whole
there was an
thing.
email that went out
I
about,
don't know what you have on your list, so I can't say yes or no, but I would need to see it.
so I thought Christine sent out a capital request
Just for capital.
just for capital to everybody. And I don't know when that due date
So-
was.
Fire company doesn't separate its budget. Well, our budget request to the town is a budget, so ours gets approved altogether. I can send you maybe preliminary stuff, but that's not until the board of directors and the company votes on it, that's not a budget. So when we send you the package, that is our official budget.
Well, so we are doing things a little different this year on our end. Right, so I know that Christine sent out an email September 28th to everybody. Saying capital requests for fiscal year 25 are due on Monday, October 2nd. Now, I don't know if you technically, you might not have gotten that, or maybe she didn't include you on that. But it's been a discussion with Board of Finance that they want our capital separate, and we're gonna try to vote on that as a board. And hopefully Board of Finance does as well prior to the budget
So
discussion.
this is the first time I've seen this. And this request, everything that we're trying to do has got pushed out again. So everything that you're gonna see when I present my budget is gonna be done. So we're not addressing anything this year in my current budget. Like the refurb of the rescue truck is now put out another year. We're putting money away towards it, so it was supposed to be money last year, this year, then do next coming year. Now we're looking at, we pushed it out 4 years. The Hearst tool replacement, you can't buy part of it. Replace all your Hearst tools, like none of them. You can't put one in, not the other. So
Are there different Hirsch tools that you were requesting?
we battery operated. So it's basically, we get rid of the pumps and the reels, which I'll give you the whole spiel on this for the budget. We split it in half, so this doesn't make sense, and I never saw this. Stuff.
Bob, am I missing, this is what I have for our current capital. Do you have
Same
some,
as,
do
same as
you have
this one?
another page?
No, this shows is on front and back.
But I don't see anything for
Sure.
the highway department. I mean, I don't see any, oh, there it is, never mind.
Yeah, so
Okay.
those are when we went through those last meeting or the meeting before?
So Charlie, what Board of Finance is trying to do is they know that every year we kick capital down. Because when they say, okay, Board of Selectmen, cut 300,000 out of your budget, where we're gonna go to do that? Well, it's a lot easier doing in capital with 2 items than it is to do 100 items in around town.
Right, so I've been confused for a while now when there's all these capital discussions for the last few meetings where we haven't been mentioned. And I thought it was just a highway department thing. I didn't realize you put a plan together outside of typical budget process.
I thought these numbers came from you guys.
Those were numbers that were submitted last year for the budget with the 5-year and the 25-year plan that we submitted. But again, as we've always said, is you have a plan, it needs to be adjusted every year a little bit. Those numbers are significantly low, but they also were stretched out. So
what the Board of Finance hopes to do is lock in capital before we get so far into the budget. So we're not allowed, they're not gonna say to the board, so you now cut 300,000 because they know we can't cut capital. So if you can get something to us in the next couple of weeks, it'd be,
well, I have to have a
Okay.
meeting with the board of directors, special meeting, which will all be posted, board of directors and a company meeting. So we're looking maybe the first week of January.
all right, well, they'll have to do. And then
So-
if we don't get them all the numbers on the third, we'll get to them at their next meeting.
Okay.
And then we can only do what we do, so.
But I also worry that if we don't get it done, it really changes our capital approach. And then we're in the same ball game we were for the past 50 years.
We can give them half of it on the third and the other half on the second meeting of the month, maybe. Then they'll be done by January, right? So we usually don't get the capital till March.
Well, we get those presentations and we start working on it. But we wanted to get this out of the way.
I've got it.
So just like we have to have a special meeting,
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to.
but I think you guys gonna have to try to get it as soon as possible.
Charlie, you have,
I'm just saying there was an email, check your email from the September.
let's say 28th.
It was from the 28th. So I can't see who it was sent to. Cause it's just a blind, but it talks about, it says the Board of Selectmen is seeking capital submissions for capital plan requests for fiscal year 25 and beyond. For the purposes of the capital budget and planning process, capital is defined, and it gives you a definition of what capital is.
Mhm.
I believe so.
No,
So
those
I
are
don't have
the,
that
those are,
added
no,
here.
those are just budget requests.
No, there was a capital one.
Was it?
So I did spend 5 years.
Okay.
All right, so that should,
So the plan I spit is represented on.
Not.
Because did we, is
or did
what
we change? So
have-
this is revised.
This is the revised. Okay, yeah, no.
So we revise this as we're going along.
So
So yeah, no, capital is gonna be completely separate. Now that we have that cleared up. But I don't know, I don't have the original budget. Do you have the original one before we voted, changed anything?
Maybe I can find it.
Cause I wonder if, hopefully wondering if that matches.
I don't remember changing much on the fire company.
Oh, here's the capital plan request. Oh, here's yours. But what year is this? No, this was sent. Oh, that was last year. You sent it over to me. Cause that's with your turnout gear and stuff.
So why don't we, I don't see the point right now in going line by line anymore for the
No,
capital.
not tonight. So why don't we
Yeah.
talk about this, the tri-board meeting, tell them where we
Yeah.
are, tell them that the fire company submitted something, but but it's not, I guess, they submitted something, but it wasn't exactly what their 5-year capital should
Yeah,
look
but I
like.
think what is happening is that Chief's looking at our revised what we did last meeting, and it's not what he handed in. So I think what I'm hearing is that we have the items on there that you need. It's just that the spread is different because I
Spread.
think we adjusted that
And there
already.
was one thing I sent, Christine, I think Bobby may have gotten a report, the Hearst tool report this year.
Mhm.
How the equipment's obsolete, and if it breaks, basically there's no parts left for it.
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
That's, wasn't in this, but it should have been represented in that, in the number that is, what I have is, I think $60,000 for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we
And
did is just,
split it.
Right.
we just, yeah,
It's actually $70,000 now.
yeah.
going
See,
into the next
it's,
year. So that's the concern with the splitting things up.
And are you saying that the air tools, the air ones aren't? The air,
Hydraulic
hydraulic?
tools. So the hydraulic tools are becoming, they're obsolete because currently we're using low pressure cutting tools. And the new construction vehicles, the stronger metals and stuff like that, our tools aren't high pressure tools. So there's low pressure, high pressure, and hydraulics, which you can get rid of servicing a pump, the hose reels, all the reels. Get rid of all that and you just put the tool in there, which now runs off battery. So you free up department space, less maintenance on it. You just could change your battery out and you go to the races with it. So it also gives us free ability to go down the embankment with a car when you're limited to 100 feet from the rest of the truck. And the hose
All right.
line.
Just so you know, so this was from, if you want to come here quick. So this was from the one that we had in 10/20 for yours. This might have been before, let's see, before. First. So was this, is that everything?
Yes, that's right. Yep, that's right. But that needs to go to 70,
Okay.
because of cost, the anticipated cost of this.
All right. So,
Which is everything cost.
so that the one we have before we started changing anything was accurate except for the first is 70. Yeah. So what you're seeing in that last one was what
our
we
attempt to
did
tweak it
after
already.
our initial cut through. So like the ambulance replacement, we broke it out for a 3-year replacement.
So are you gonna finance it for 3 years? or-
No, this was put away 50 and buy it in 3
Yeah.
years.
But we weren't having these discussions back then when we did this. The discussions of financing, we
finance,
we're talking
Yeah,
about that then.
just came up tonight.
So the only other, the truck refurb we put,
Right, 'cause mine
we
is-
broke it down.
So right now, those numbers are probably gonna be higher, because if we're gonna push it out another year,
Right,
we're gonna have to increase. the
Yeah,
year
that's
or-
gonna happen
right,
with
but it's gonna
everything.
happen.
Or the
but-
last year number goes up to 150.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
But
as
so
long
that
as-
was our first change of
I
your stuff.
understand that, because again, capital's being moved on differently this year, so.
Yeah.
I can see
That's
that.
much better than, not having your capital and that there's a whole nother list
No,
somewhere
that's
that
fine.
What
we
did you
have to
say
vet.
the truck was coming in at? The pickup truck?
Well, one of-
Oh, so it doesn't change up. We're talking about $5,000 difference probably. Okay,
Doesn't actually follow a town plan. The changes now, that, so the whole process was to get a truck, to use it, and get it done.
so we don't have to really adjust that budget. I just want to make sure it didn't go up like 20 grand and we're adjusting. Okay.
So why don't we not, since we're not gonna go line item tonight, why don't we just table this until we get to the.
Yeah.
Can,
What?
before we table, since we have the chief here. And we have some of this capital stuff that we know we have to vote on. By January, if not, we can push out. So when you talk about like the Hearst tool,
Yes,
can that go till a next year purchase?
yeah, it can, but so again, looking at it is, if you're breaking it up, we're gonna buy it in year two. Obviously, we're not buying part of it for year one, we'll have to all buy it in year two.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but just, my whole point was, explain, I can't buy half of it at a time.
Yeah.
So you have to save it for a year, as long as we fund both years, the second year we buy it. Yes,
Okay.
you're correct.
So you can't buy half of it and make sure you like the batteries and all that other crap?
It's
or
been
no?
proven a million times. Our neighbors all have them now. We're the last department that is running basically just corded tools.
Okay,
I've been to numerous classes now. Once you grab a battery operated Hearst tool from now on, you'll never want to go back to a corded one that's attached to the vehicle, so. It is the future of the fire service. That's what we're going to, and it's more cost effective because we're replacing and servicing pumps and hose reels and reels every year, where it's just now tools instead of all the pumps and reels. So you'll actually have a little cost saving.
all right, because that's the only thing, so the ambulance doesn't fall under you, but the only thing that we changed was breaking up the Hearst to two years.
Yep.
And then breaking out the rescue truck to one more year.
Yep.
So,
Which that number might be low, the third year
Yeah.
payment. Again, because we were close at doing 275.
okay,
But again, at what point are we putting away too much money in refurbing a truck? That you're almost at close to 50, over 25% of the value of a replacement. So at what point do you say, we're done, not gonna do a refurb, and we're going to replace it? Again, so that's where you gotta look at, where's the benefit? Do we refurb it, spend, 25% of the cost of a new one, or do we just buy a new one and get 25 years out of it?
right, but then when we look at the engine 2,
I know.
and we gotta put away for that and then buy it
Right.
in a few years. Then you have to look down the road. Do you want these all coming up again, all at the same time? So
That's.
if
what
we
the
don't
cost
buy a
is,
little
right?
time with the refurb of the rescue, now we're buying them all,
Well,
and then
that's-
again, 20 years from now,
We
you're
should've
buying them all over.
Replaced engine 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Instead of refurbing that truck, my opinion is we shot ourselves in the foot by refurbing fire apparatus. If we replaced engine 10 years ago, we wouldn't even be discussing this today. We'd be replacing the rescue this year. That would be the next thing on the docket. Refurbing is dragging it, push it ahead 10 years. The refurb, we're gonna be exactly where we are today. We're not gonna get out of the hole unless you do a drastic change of getting it out of the cycle. Because if we keep refurbing and refurbing and refurbing, it's not changing anything, it's just bumping it out 10 years, the cost stays stagnant.
But how's our equipment compared to other volunteer fire?
Very good.
Right.
Because we have a mechanic in our firehouse.
Yeah.
You saw tonight. When something breaks, he fixes it. We don't allow our trucks to, break down and go out of service. We take care of them very well.
Yeah.
Only thing we can't do is paint jobs. Our 09, as we call it, one of our new trucks, the paint's starting to fall off. It is what it is. It's electrolysis happens on aluminum bodies.
Yeah, I think Joe pointed out during our tour, on like the corners of
Yeah.
stuff.
Every place that touches it, that'll eventually be question for the Board of Finance or the Selectmen. Do you want to spend the $80,000 to paint that truck that's already, what is it, 10, 15 years old or whatever it is now? So that's where we're at. So everything, we keep refurbing things. It's not really addressing the problem. We're just pushing it up further. So today's not my problem. It's someone else's problem down the road. So we're seeing that here today is you're faced with years of not addressing the problem and just pushing it out. So now the three of you are stuck with a mess. So,
We know.
And
Alright.
that's it, before we move along.
No, I just wanted to ask him that since we had him here and we kind of can button that up.
Thank you for staying. All right, so let's move on to tax refunds.
Yes. So I'll make a motion to approve tax refunds to A-Car Leasing for $452.19 and to Patricia Crandall for $463 for a grand total of tax refunds of $915.19.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next on the agenda, old business. So just gonna run through these quick. Demolition, as we know, we got the approval and I've sent that check out for 105,000. We got the approval by Board of Finance for the last 90,000, which will go to a town meeting hopefully on January 22nd. So we're in good shape on that. Vacancies and appointments, I don't know if you have it, I think I put it in your box.
Yep.
We got a letter, from, Mark Grigg asking us to appoint Jeff Bennett to Inland Wetlands. I know he spoke to Brett, he spoke to myself. Do you know Jeff at all?
No.
I'm gonna see if I can get him to come in sometime at a future meeting and introduce himself, because that's what we wanted to do, but this was like last minute. We just got this letter today.
It's like every time last minute.
What's look at the letter, December 12th. Unless you don't want to appoint him,
I mean, I know Jeff, so I
but in all fairness, Nicole doesn't, so we'll have him
Right.
come in. Right, so I think we had a vacancy on. Kevin Geary resigned. This is a vacancy. It worked out well. He, on election night, he spoke to both myself and Brett and asked if he could be on this. At the time, we didn't think we had a vacancy. Now we do. So entertain a motion to appoint Jeff Bennett.
I'll make a motion to.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of appointing Jeff Bennett to Inland Wetlands, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 3-0. Upper fund discussion, after we take the last 90,000 out, if it gets approved, we'll have a grand total of $326.79 left in the opera funds, which I think, I just gonna say this. We didn't get like Norwich got millions and New London got
No,
millions
we
and
made the
Ward-
best of that.
we didn't have a lot, but what we did, I think we did a lot, both on the social front, the demolition, which is a big sore topic with the town anyway. There was things we did with the business community, through economic developments. We actually might have even saved a business. I think we did stuff with the cultural coalition. We got the stage, and I think we did a good job compared to some towns that they just threw money at craziness. I think we really thought the money out and now I have to fight over what we're gonna do the last $326.79.
Is there still money in there from the Cultural Coalition? Because didn't we budget for a generator to a certain extent?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of money left over from that, but there wasn't enough to buy the generator.
So does that come back to us or?
Yes, well, it's right now it's sitting there, but we can get that back unless actually, I don't think we ever gave them money. I think we put it aside for
Right.
them. Yeah, I'll look into that though, Brett.
And there is money to fix the electronic sign out front.
Yeah, so by paying on the 107 that was left in the $1 million by paying 105, that left me with 2,200 some odd dollars. We have to just put some new power lines in from the sign to the building. We have to trench it, which our guys can do. And Greg Roy is getting light bulbs for it. So I think we will have that thing up and running and still have some money left over in that, I think.
Okay. Will that go back into ARPA?
It could, yes, it could, but it probably won't be more than maybe $1,000 or something like that. Okay, plan conservation development, we just asked for an extension. It was due today, December 12th, 2023. We asked for an extension because I think Juliet's gonna have a workshop with planning and zoning on the January 4th meeting. They usually meet on the second, but she also meets on the second Thursday of the month in Ledger. So she's gonna do a workshop on the 4th, and then in February, I think they're gonna do a town hearing, on the POCD. But she wanted to go through the planning zoning for us and give them their time to pick it apart, make changes and so on. So hopefully we have an extension through March anyway at this point. I can add to it, but we're fine with that. It's not a big deal. Okay, and if there's nothing else, we'll go to public comments. Is anybody online? Can you see that far?
I can see nobody's got their hand up. All right, I'll make a motion. Motion
Our
to
next
adjourn.
meeting is January 9th, but that doesn't count the tri-board meeting, which is Tuesday.
Can I just confirm, when are we doing, the town Christmas party? Is that?
1 o'clock on Friday, the 22nd.
Thank you, I got it.
Okay, and then the
Motion to
meeting
adjourn.
the meeting on the tri-board is 6 o'clock meeting.
Hold on, what?
Next Tuesday, it's tri-board's a 6 o'clock meeting, and that'll be chaired by Stephanie Mastriani.
I got that.
Okay,
And then the 9th is when we're meeting next?
we'll be meeting on the 9th, yes. That's, we're going to the first and
Got it.
third week, but that, we had to keep that one as the second because it fits with the town meeting, call the town meeting.
Yeah.
Brett, do you have something to say?
Make a motion.
Oh, one more thing?
We're all a little bunch drunk.
So funny.
I'll second
You know, I was
Brett's
gonna question the honorable part when of that,
motion.
declaration.
The less than honorable, less than
Motion to
honorable?
adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.